So much for the freedoms that we enjoy each and every day. This is why our teachers are participating in this conference, to remind current and future generations that their freedom has been paid for by the courage and sacrifice of our great generations.
We are really excited to have you here. We think this is one of the finest parts of our event because you really get to sit side by side with the veterans and also honor them the way that they should be honored. So this is one of my personal favorite times of the trip. So the theme this year is called We Go Together. So, and I might butcher it, but in Korean it's Kachi Kapshida. And I don't know if you saw in the brochure, I'm sure you went to your room and memorized the entire thing. In the beginning, it sort of gives you a little rundown of where that came from. So that slogan's from the Korean War, and it's meant to symbolize the fact that American troops and the Republic of Korea troops went literally together into war to stop communism. And it's a slogan that's been used ever since then. You can even find that in South Korea, the troops that are there now use them when they're training, and it's something that they use when they run marathons together, quite literally. Go them, right? And so we would also like to borrow that phrase if we could, right? Because I would like to argue that Korean War veterans and educators go together. Okay?
That's good.
What you learn about the Korean War through these meetings, take it back and communicate it to your students. That would be the biggest favor you could do Korean War veterans.
John Stevens commanded Able Company 5th Marines at the Incheon landing, and that landing was commemorated by a picture of Lieutenant Baldavar Lopez going over the seawall. The amphibious tractors could not get close enough to the landing zone because of a seawall, so they had to manufacture ladders and then climb the ladders and eventually get on board. While he was going up, he was receiving significant ground fire. He pulled the pin on a grenade and subsequently dropped it. And rather than let it explode and take out half his platoon, he used his body to absorb the shock. Was subsequently awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor.
We understand that teachers usually don't have 2 weeks to spend on this. Unfortunately, some teachers only have a day or 2. But if they're only spending a day or 2 on it, we want it to be a fantastic lesson. So there will be lessons for them. If they have a week, great, we'll have lessons for people who can spend a week. If they can spend 2 weeks, excellent, we can do that too. So on this site, and it's not set up yet, But there will be buttons and a teacher can click. I have one class period to spend on the Korean War. And unfortunately, that's the reality in a lot of schools. I mean, there's a lot to cover. Or I have 2 class periods and 3 class periods. And our hope is when they see these great resources, they're going to spend more time. They're going to dedicate more time to it. And all these resources are going to be kind of based on the oral histories that Dr. Han has created.
We have, over the years, really wanted to do more to build education modules. And so this was when Dr. Han first approached us, and when Joe first approached us, this was the perfect synergy to be able to work with teachers, for us to be able to provide content with real direction from teachers as to how to make it kid-friendly, student classroom-friendly, and really be able to start introducing these topics when at a student level, when they really need to know these kinds of things before these biases get too ingrained in them. So we're really excited about the project and about working with both Joe and Dr. Han to make this work.
I was a young whippersnapper, a bad boy. I joined the Marine Corps, U.S. Marine Corps. They straightened me out, believe me. They have a motto, will make you or break you. And thank God they made me. I was in Korea in 52 to 53. I served my country, but I served the Korean people. And here's how I feel about it. I feel that I was a construction worker. And we built a foundation, and that's Korea. We freed a nation from communism and disaster. So I feel we were building a nation, which we did. And Professor Han is rebuilding that nation with our legacy.
If you have been blessed to experience firsthand the entries in your hero's life, you have a gift that you will have to treasure for a lifetime. And your hero's life can be that veteran that comes into your school. Your hero's life can be that grandfather you know. Your hero's life can be those that sit with us tonight and have those stories.
The U.S. at that time didn't think Korea was worth saving. They didn't think the lives that were lost there were worth losing. What they said was that was a time of losses and money that we didn't need to do. So I was like most of the other Korean veterans that came back home, went back to the family, went back to the job, and essentially forgot about what we did in Korea. And another thing about it was we didn't know that we'd done anything. We felt like all of that was a waste of time also. And it's too bad, because here we are, John Woo, 60 years later and just now becoming known as a war that what really was the forgotten victory. Just look at Korea today. Look at what they've done and look at what we offered them for. Sal said today, we were the constructors. We built them a foundation and look what they did for it. Did with it. Wonderful things. It's a wonderful country, and now we can say, I'm proud of what we did in Korea 60 years ago.
This is a big deal, people. America needs to know what happened to Korea. You veterans were there. You saw that it was just an ash heap when you left, and now you go back, and it's one of the leading countries in the world. You are a champion. You are the utmost educators. Your students, fellow teachers, administrators, parents, community need to hear you roar. You can make a difference. It's your choice. How loud will you roar in the 2017-28 school year?
Yeah. Korea was and still under the influence of Confucianism. And the essence of the Confucianism is to emphasize education, education, and education. There are 5 code of conducts of Confucianism that you can apply to any different kinds of human relations. King and subject, parents and children, teachers and students, husband and wife, and junior and senior. But you can apply the 5 of conducts to any set of human relationship. And among them, the epitome of that Confucian doctrine is to put king and parents and teachers together. They are equal to each other. So that's, I think, is foundation's blessing to be able to work with teachers, all of you. So I want to thank you and continue to help us to make these ideas into reality.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I'm Larry Zimmerman, Secretary of Veterans Affairs for the state of South Dakota.
And what brings you here today to this conference?
Well, I've got to know Dr. Han over the last few years. We had a great conference for 500 plus Korean War veterans in our state. And I'm just very interested in carrying on the story, carrying on the legacy, teaching our young children in school about these great heroes, and letting generations from now on know what heroes we had in the war.
And as you know, one of our long-term sponsors has been South Korea's Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs. And could you speak more to the collaboration between our conference and the South Korean government and the importance of that?
The South Korean government, of course, is, I think, the driving force in this. And they have helped so much with sponsorship and interest in our veterans, teaching our teachers, and it's an integral part of this whole conference, having South Korea and the Veterans Affairs involved in it.
Great. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, just remember our veterans, remember our Korean War heroes, and thank them and their families for their service.
Great, thank you. Could you briefly tell us about your experience in Korea? What unit were you in and when you went?
I landed in Incheon in 1952, around April, or beginning of April. The landing was very successful. We were put on trucks to an area called Ascon City, and in Ascon City we were attached to a unit, which my unit was up on the front lines, which is called the MLR. We boarded the trucks around 4:30 in the afternoon. We started heading up towards the MLR, and we got hit with small arm and mortar fire. And as you could see the monument in the back, which indicates a rice paddy, I had to jump out of the truck and actually dove into a rice paddy, face down. And I was full of mud and muck, and it started to rain, and I thought I was wounded.
Great. Could you tell us your name and where you're from, the school, and what grades you teach?
Okay. My name is Ruth Judd, and I teach 6th grade at Caroline Middle School in Caroline County, Virginia.
Great. And what do you think about the Teachers Conference that we're at today and with the Korean War Legacy Foundation hosting it?
I think the conference that we're at today is amazing. We get so many wonderful ways to bring Korea and the Korean War to life to the kids, and I think it's super important. I think American kids and America in general needs to know the importance of the Korean War and Korea today. The MPVA, we coordinate with them because they're actually sending a group of 30 of us to South Korea so we can get more of an idea of how South Korea has evolved, how it's gone from what it was right after the Korean War, where it was basically nothing, to what it is today, a huge economic power in the world.
Great. And anything else you'd like to add?
We're extremely grateful to the MPVA for doing this because it brings teachers to life so that they can really bring back to the classroom what a power South Korea is and what a difference these veterans have made for South Korea.
Great, thank you so much.